I was wrong. A sentence that everyone hates saying because anytime we have to admit fault or admit when we were incorrect, it feels like a blow to our self-concept. What do you mean I was wrong? I'm better than that. I'm smarter than that. I know better than that. But at the end of the day, it's not a flaw in our character whenever we're incorrect about something. What does being wrong even mean? There is subjective wrong and right, and there is objective wrong and right. Subjective wrong and right has to do with our morals. Oh, this is wrong because I believe it is morally bad. Then there's wrong and right where it's true and false, correct and incorrect, an objective fact. You are wrong about something because you have the incorrect information, or you are right about something because you have the correct information. Unfortunately, a lot of times we're taught to perceive wrong and right as black and white, good or bad. If you're wrong, then you're bad. If you're right, then you're good. It is good when you have the right information, and it can be bad when you have the wrong information, but that's not an embodiment of who you are as a person. These thought patterns often lead to a shame-based belief system. And if we have a shame-built belief system, then we're gonna shame ourselves for our weaknesses. Humans naturally have strengths and weaknesses. That's why we work together as a collective to build on our strengths and work on our weaknesses. Acknowledging when you're wrong, when you're incorrect, when you've been misinformed, feels like having to acknowledge all of your weaknesses. If you're constantly shaming yourself any single time you have to acknowledge one of your weaknesses, then you're gonna have a very fragile self-concept. Because of the shame-built belief systems that our society is constructed off of, we tend to digest information as good and bad instead of incorrect or correct, true or false. You're not always a bad person for having the wrong information or doing the wrong thing. Humans can't be properly understood within the constructs and the boxes of black and white, good and bad, because life is so much more complex than that. You are not a bad person for having the wrong information and being misled. You are not a bad person for making a mistake. You are not bad for going about things in the wrong way. The biggest gag about all of this is that acknowledging your weaknesses is a strength. You're tapping into your strength as a human being when you're acknowledging when you're wrong. If we're always seeing information through the lens of good and bad, then we're gonna try to avoid bad information. Being wrong, being incorrect is inevitable. It's unavoidable. Growing up, we were handed down nothing but generational curses, which translates into generational misinformation. My dad growing up was taught that he was supposed to suppress his feelings and emotions, so that's what he taught to us. He taught us to suppress our feelings and emotions because that's the right information, because that's what his parents taught him, meaning it's correct. No, that's a generational curse. That is generational misinformation. The wrong information being passed down. That is not true. If we only ever see information through the lens of good and bad, then we're going to develop a habit of disregarding or discarding important information. We can't expose ourselves to the bad information, the wrong information, because what would I do with myself if I ever found out it was wrong? We're always scared of being wrong. We're scared of exposing ourselves to the wrong information because then we're putting ourselves in a position where we might have to one day acknowledge I was wrong. And of course, we're going to accommodate our feelings. We're going to accommodate our lifestyle to make sure that never happens, because I never want to acknowledge my own weaknesses. I never want to have to humble myself. I never want to have to acknowledge this part of myself. Being wrong is inevitable. It is unavoidable. You are going to be wrong sometimes. You are wrong about so many things right now. Do you think you're ugly? Do you have a core belief that you're ugly? You're wrong! You're wrong! You're wrong! You're wrong! You're not correct! In order for you to grow, to heal, to become a secure person, to become everything you know you have the potential to be, you have to be willing to put yourself in situations where you have to humble yourself, where you have to be willing to acknowledge your weaknesses, to be able to acknowledge I was wrong. I digested the wrong information, but I'm thankful I exposed myself to it in the first place, because awareness is never bad. There is no bad awareness. There is just awareness that will help you understand things on a greater scale. You should watch my YouTube video about perspectives and perceptions, just saying being incorrect does not make you a bad person, and being correct does not make you a good person. We don't have to shame ourselves or feel inferior whenever we have to acknowledge when we're wrong. We're humans, we have limitations, we're inherently ignorant because we only have the information accessible to us. We constantly have to be learning more. We constantly have to be digesting more in order to have more. It is such a strength to acknowledge your weakness. It is such a strength to acknowledge when you're wrong. It is such a strength to constantly be wanting to learn, to know better, to know differently. You should always be broadening your awareness, and broadening your awareness means learning more information, and learning more information means acknowledging that our old information, our old understandings are outdated, and we have now updated what we thought we understood. We have more information, we have more understanding, we have more knowledge, and that is a continuous cycle. What you think you understand now as the epitome of knowledge, guess what? You're gonna learn more, and then that's gonna become the epitome of knowledge, and then you're gonna learn more, and then that's gonna become the epitome of knowledge for you. We are doing the best we can every single day with the information that we have, and it is okay to acknowledge that we don't have all the information. Just please don't tie your self-concept, your sense of self, to the constructs of good and bad, right and wrong, because you're constantly going to be learning that you're wrong about things, which means you're constantly going to be feeling like you have to defend yourself. You don't have to defend yourself when you're wrong, because it's truly just a matter of acknowledging the situation for what it is and accepting that things are about to change. In order to deconstruct our shameful belief systems, to start changing the way we see the world out of the constructs of good and bad, right and wrong, we can start to use more adjectives to help us understand situations more subjectively. Instead of us saying something is right or wrong, good or bad, we can say something is helpful or it's harmful. Instead of saying something is right and wrong or good and bad, we can start saying that it's productive or it's unproductive. Accepting ourselves, accepting our weaknesses, and accepting our shortcomings, and using compassion as a tool is the easiest way for us to break down our shameful belief systems and start to accept when we've been wrong or incorrect about something without inherently shaming ourselves for it. I really hope this video was able to help you in any way that it possibly could, but if it didn't, I do humbly apologize. Please just leave this video knowing that you are sexy, you are valid, and you are so loved, and I will see you in the next video.
Hope you liked my videos. Is there anything else I'm supposed to say as a YouTuber?